taxes, inflation, and the breakdown of the family are causing us to fall behind. We have the lowest net worth in the United States, and I'm sure those numbers cross the border as well.
Some people get the disability tax credit and they don't open the registered disability savings plan, and that's where the government puts in all the money of grants and bonds for a person with a disability who has done all the steps. Some people don't do all the steps.
Good morning, everyone. It is Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. 2018 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2020 the 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner. I did get 2 awards, just reversed them. But yes, given up with the Canadian Ethnic Media Association, I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And our team since 2020 has reached out directly and indirectly to over 200,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. Not 400,000. I'm really botching things up this morning because I've got so many things to do production-wise today and so many friends joining us today. But as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We're broadcasting live October 7th. And welcome, Dragon Knight.
Hey, yes, good to see you, Dr. Vibe. For those that don't remember who I am, my name is Ryan Knight, one of the co-founders of the Afro Caribbean Business Network. So we support entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage. And I'm also an entrepreneur myself, as Dr. Vibe's alluding to, with Detailing Nights that was able to go on Dragon's Den and secure a deal. So they say the Dragon Slayer, but no, it's more, I would say it's more Dragon Collaborator, Knights working with dragons to make things happen. But with our company, Detailing Nights, we do mobile waterless car cleaning. So we go to people's houses or their offices, clean their cars on the spot. And we have about a nice fall season happening. So we usually detail about till mid-December. So if you want to get your car clean, definitely give us a call or visit our website to book an appointment at detailingnights.ca.
Good stuff. What's been going on since we were last together? I haven't seen you in about a week or so. What's been going on in your world?
This past week, I have so many pictures in my phone. I haven't even been able to post them yet. So that's my homework, because Elevate was happening. So the Black Innovation Zone was down there with Nobellum, Black Founders Network, Africa Center, the Foundation for Black Communities. Also, Dr. Umar was in the building in Toronto. So I was shocked Cesar wasn't in town, fellow Pan-Africanist. I thought he might have come down to see that. And what else is happening? So watch parties as Dragon's Den is in their full swing. Anita Grant from Hello Hair and the Hello Hair book, she was on Dragon's Den this past Thursday. So we went out to Hamilton to support her at her watch party. So yeah, a lot of exciting whirlwinds still happening. So if you haven't seen Anita's episode, definitely check out on the CBC Dragon's Den website. It was, I would say, good. So I won't spoil it, but you'll definitely get to check it out. And so Anita was one of the entrepreneurs that came down when ACBN did our delegation with entrepreneurs to, all go down and pitch. So there's another entrepreneur, Judy Stewart from Trey Souls. So they do shoes for women with size 10 or above. And she's going to be on November 7th. So we're hoping to support her with her watch party. ACBN is looking to sponsor that for her so that we can make sure it gets done and she feels supported. So stay tuned for November 7th, that watch party coming up for Dragon's Den again.
All right. So let me ask you a few things as I'm typing away here.
Yes.
How was Elevate for you?
I went to Elevate more to check out the Black Innovation Zone, talk there. So I didn't really do the full immersive deep dive, like at the main stage, watching any presentations, or it was more the side stages where they had like different areas that were themed. So those presentations were pretty cool, but I didn't do much at the main stage, and I only was there for the one day. So how about yourself? How did you feel about the event?
Well, so for people, just some background. Elevate is a tech entrepreneur conference. So we talk what is it? And I was blessed because an organization provided me a ticket to go for free. Nice. So
I believe it's like the Canadian version, like it's Canadian developed here. Like Collision is Ireland.
Yeah.
I think.
And so Canadian. I went down, and you know me in downtown traffic. The traffic to get down there was not bad. It was tolerable. And I could only go for one day. But I think for someone to get full value, you should go for 2 days. One day, like for me, for one day was not enough. But ran into some people. I sat in the Black Innovation Zone and gave out complimentary game to people. And they were going, like, where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from? And then who's the gentleman from Nobelum? What's the gentleman's name?
Malcolm.
Malcolm. So I sat with Malcolm and I grilled Malcolm. I said, what's the biggest, what's keeping you up at night with Nobelum? And he told me. And he said, and there was a lady with me who I was giving some free game. So I showed her my game on Malcolm. Malcolm says, I got to follow you on LinkedIn. I'd like to meet with you. So I've got to catch up with that. And then, and I saw some people I hadn't seen for a while. Saw some people, saw some different people down there. There was a lady hosting downstairs, a stage downstairs, Nova Browning Rutherford, and I have not seen her for so many years. And just seeing her made the whole conference. Really wonderful lady. So it was so good to catch up with her briefly. She was doing all the presentation stuff. So it was really good what was going on there. And then on the weekend, I was in Windsor.
Okay, nice. What was happening out there?
Big shout out to the organization Brothers Who Care, run by David. And I was a group of four or five Black men. We chaperoned about, I'd say 27, 28 young African Canadian boys down to the Southwest Ontario area. So we left early on. This thing is bothering me. This thing is really bothering me. I got to fix it. Well, don't worry about it. It's only a thing there. But no, on Friday morning, we left really early. We first stopped at the Historical Black Museum in Buxton, Ontario, which was absolutely amazing. Like so much knowledge, so much information. I've got to go back there at least for a half day or a day. It was so rich, so much information about our forefathers, for mothers, etc. And we got a good education on African Indian history. Then we went to a EV battery plant.
Okay, nice.
Really, and it was only, I don't remember what city it was in, but it's just 4 months old.
Okay.
So they gave us a tour. It's a Korean company that's built in the Southwest Ontario area.
They're making batteries for a Korean car?
No, for all different types of EV car models.
Gotcha.
So they walked us through the process, the plant, the everything there. And then we got into Windsor, got to a hotel, then went to the University of Windsor. And the University of Windsor has a Black Studies department, their own area in Windsor. And then we were greeted wonderfully. And I have this gentleman's car here, gentleman named Andrew Allen, who is director, joint PhD in educational studies, and associate professor of faculty of education. He was amazing. Like, I mean, educated like no end, but so cool and down to earth. He was amazing. Awesome. And then we then went for dinner at the Canadian Caribbean Association in Windsor, rice and peas, all that sort of stuff, really good. So we got up the next morning back to the University of Windsor, and first things first, we had a visual arts exercise we did with a gentleman. Then we had a gentleman who was one of Professor Allen's former students, who played in the Canadian Football League for 7 years. R.J. Franklin. He gave a great sharing, and now he is now a sergeant in the Windsor Police Force.
So, congrats. That's excellent.
So he gave that presentation. Then we, myself and two other gentlemen, we hosted a panel on young Black men and mental health, and then we came back home. But amazing experience. And I didn't realize that University of Windsor has an African Diaspora Conference. They've been having it for the last 20 years.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So all that. So amazing weekend. Big shout out to Andrew Allen. And I'm going to be going back down there to spend some time down there. And he's going to be coming on the show in the next few weeks. And for those if those in African Canadian culture, if you know the name of a poet named Lillian Allen,
okay,
that's her brother. So they come from a family of about 9 brothers and sisters.
Yes.
So that's just some of the things going on in Dr. Vibe's world. And you know what? I got to catch up because we got some people visiting. Tim Frey. Yeah, it's been a while, but I'm online today morning. Tim Frey, we need to chat. We had a conversation a few weeks ago, and I need to follow up with you on that. Good morning, Fitness IQ Cam. What is all up? And of course, JJ Mars says, hey, Dr. V. Says it's a nice autumn day in Colorado. And Dr. Tachi, good morning. Dr. Tachi's here. Frequency Event Promotions is here. Good to have you all here. Speaking of Dr. Tachi, Dr. Tachi and I are hosting something this evening, October 7th at 6 o'clock. So we want to show you what we are collaborating together. So here we go. All right. So this evening, myself and Dr. Tachi, today, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, a collaboration between Indie Soup Media, which is powered by Dr. Tachi, and the Dr. Vibe Show. There's Indie Soup Media, by the way. We are hosting a conversation with a gentleman named Kirk R. Nugent. And probably many of you have not heard his name before, but you need to, because he is a live streaming expert extraordinaire. He has over almost 10,000 followers. He has over 10,000 followers on his YouTube channel, and he's a great source about the nuts and bolts of live streaming. And I've been a admirer of what he's done for many years. And I said, you know what? I want to get him on the show. So I just reached out and asked him, and he said, sure. Right. So if you are up to it, wherever you're watching this now, except on Ryan's platforms, on Dr. Vibe's platforms, we're going to do it this evening at 6 p.m. So we're really excited about that opportunity. And thanks, Dr. Tachi, for doing that video on the right quick. So if you want to learn about live streaming, this is the gentleman. And there's an opportunity that he'll be coming in every quarter or so just to give us updates. I'm going to see there's a 1 hour time difference between he's in the central time zone. We're in the east to see if he may even come on a morning vibe. So we're going to work on that too.
Yeah, all right.
So that's that. So as always, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Please like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. If you want to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I'm a part of, email me, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And then join the Morning Vibe Discord group where we continue the conversation in between shows. Woo! Anything else?
Yes. People need to remember, and they might have seen me put a video out about the Ontario RAISE grant. So the Racialized and Indigenous Support for Entrepreneurs is open until October 30th. But this $10,000 grant is first come, first served. Yeah. So they process applications as they come in. So I would not even sleep on this one. If 10,000 could help out, I would get your application in as soon as you can, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs that missed out the last round. This is the third round of it. So if you wait until the end, most likely the money will be already dispersed. So get on it. And we're going to be talking about it on Wednesday at our monthly funding info session that we do.
What time is that, by the way?
At 1:00.
I have a session to hold, so I'm going to miss out. So you'll give me a deep dive on that, I hope.
Yeah, and I'm hoping you get yours in today, so don't even wait till Wednesday.
Well, I'm trying.
Yes.
Maybe tomorrow.
But their platform is very tedious to navigate.
Yeah.
So once you get into the application, it's pretty straightforward. But Ontario government, they're trying. I feel like they're getting a bit better, but still, people they keep going in circles. They get stuck. So we want to try and support people with that.
It's called that thing called bureaucracy.
It's called terrible user experience. Bureaucracy shouldn't have anything to do with that. You know what it is? Nobody in the office applies, so nobody sees how bad it is because they're all employees.
Yeah,
so
they don't go through the process themselves. They just put it up there and go ahead. Yeah, so
exactly.
Ryan,
and the best part, so they have a chat bot on their website that's supposed to help people like navigate. So I had to take screenshots of this thing because it was like, "Hi, I'm looking for information on the raise grant." It pretty much said does not compute. I was like, can you show me and I took their website link and put it in and said, hey, this link. And they're like, oh yeah, you're looking for different grants. Go to the link with all the grants. I was like, no, I want this specific grant. Does not compute. I was like, whoever built this thing, I bet you they spent $100,000 to build that chat bot, and it's brutal.
So how many people think are just gonna say this is too much?
I counted at least 11 just over the weekend and this is the next thing too. I'm gonna start sending invoices to the Ontario government for every time I walk a person through customer service and troubleshooting of their website, because it takes like a half hour to navigate and help a person and they wouldn't really get to do it on their own. It's only because I've seen kind of where it keeps looping. So then you have to like reset. It's like I am not their customer service yet. I'm doing their work. So they're gonna start getting invoices from me, $150 per client.
Well, it's actually interesting you say that. I actually have a good relationship with someone who is a member of the Ontario government's Financial Economic Development Department.
Okay, right.
So if you want to just share with me some of the uh-ohs and see what I could see what he has to say about that.
Okay, definitely.
All right.
Yeah, their own list of grants when you get into their portal doesn't show the raise grant. The only way you can get there is with a direct link. So
actually, for some reason, I got an email about it.
Good. Okay. Yeah.
I got a direct email about it. So
yeah, that's the best link.
There you go. All right. We're going to stop. We're going to take a quick break. Come back. We've got 1, 2, 3, well, at least 4 people that are going to be hanging out with us today in regards to health and wellness, a health and wellness fair that's coming out. Actually, this coming weekend is Thanksgiving weekend in Toronto. If you celebrate it, that's another thing. And the other thing, too, is I asked, why are you doing a health and wellness fair on Thanksgiving when people are stuffing themselves? But that's a whole other conversation.
Hey, that's probably the best time.
Exactly.
Stop them from getting too out of control.
All right. Good timing. Here we go. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. Join Aisha K. Staggers and Laura Lala Key as they cut through the chaos and make some sense of the nonsense in American news and politics.
But you still got to give him the respect that he has been doing this a long time.
Sharp insights, bold opinions, and a touch of humor. It's the show that keeps you informed and entertained.
Nobody's talking about that. Aisha, that's pretty powerful.
Don't miss Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. Tune in and stay ahead of the headlines. All right, we are back on the Morning Vibe. And just another promo piece. If you didn't catch it, last Tuesday, we had a live watch party on the U.S. vice presidential debate. You need to catch it out. So I don't know if I'll be able to do it on this show, but definitely on Fridays I'll share the link. But believe it or not, it had much more viewers than the presidential debate.
Okay.
Which was very interesting. I go, okay, why? But
the word's getting out. There's a representation watch party happening.
Yeah, so just be cool with that. So I'm also going to put up what I'm going to do here. I'm going to do how can I do this? I can't do this cleanly, so I'll just do it this way. So as you see our faces in the shimmering background, I Am an Entrepreneur is a I Am an Entrepreneur is a podcast series featuring entrepreneurs sharing their stories overcoming challenges and achieving success. This show series is designed to educate and motivate listeners about entrepreneurship. It's a great show that's hosted by a friend of the Morning Vibe, Christopher Lawrence. He also produces it. It's also marketed and produced by Frequency Event Promotions. Please remember to like, comment, and share. And most of all, subscribe. So that is coming up. And I'll have a little bit of better representation. But because I got things a little bit close to production time, I said, you know what? Better put up there than not at all. So that is I Am an Entrepreneur podcast coming up. All right. Now we can get to more things. Isn't it nice producing? It's so much fun. Isn't it so much fun? But got conversation tonight promoted. I'm an Entrepreneur podcast. So there's an event coming up this Saturday in the Greater Toronto area about health and wellness. And this not too many times I have this many people coming to the stage. Good morning, Kofi. Good morning, Taya. Good morning, Negus. Good morning, Kofi. You need to unmute yourselves so we can't hear you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hi, everybody.
All right. What is going on this morning?
Good. We're good. Giving thanks. Listening into the Dr. Vibe show as usual. And of course, big up the man who was podcasting before podcasting was a thing.
Just a guy.
Listen, you're more than a guy, man. You're more than a guy. You've been doing your thing for a minute. So again, we have to start by giving flowers to our brother there. And of course, recently, Ryan. Hey, listen, I watched the Dragon's Den show when you were on it, and again, just wonderful to see one of our own being successful on that show. I definitely will be supporting it, and of course. At some point, you guys can put up that link for people to watch it on CBC Jam or whatnot, because the more likes and follows and tuning in, the better for everybody. And it's just, it's a great show. I had some tears in my eyes, but I won't go there. That being said, I am Kofi Sadat, really quick from NSA Community. We focus on working with nonprofits, community organizations that work with our community. And we help them work better, more efficient, more effective from a culturally responsive space. I'm going to pass it on to the lovely Taya. Introduce yourself and who you are.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. My name is Taya Vieira. I'm here representing my band, Pretty Balance. I'm a Kundalini yoga and meditation instructor. And also, I'm here representing a family business, The Herd EDU. The Herd was founded by my big brother, Jordan Vieira. And it started as a creative, really beautiful poetry show. And then he also worked with youth. We are carrying on my mom's legacy. My mom has been working with youth for over 30 years now. And she had us working with her when we were younger. She used to pull us out of school in elementary school to help with the programs. So I'm leading that portion of business right now, the Herd EDU, where I'm launching a holistic wellness arts program. So there'll be dance, drama, as well as yoga and meditation, character development, integrity. Like, I am so excited. I grew up dancing and acting and everything like that. So I'm really excited to connect with you and make some great things happen. And I'm really excited for this weekend. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Brother Nikas.
No problem. Before we go any further, I express this also. Frequency Event Promotion says RIP JV.
Yes.
So, yes. And also Nub Chewy says, good morning, Dr. Vibe and all good people. All right, next up, who wants to introduce themselves?
Negus, go ahead. Don't be shy. Can you hear?
Oh, I wonder if he's having a technical issue.
Yeah.
Negus,
Kofi, are you there?
Kofi is
I'm
on.
here, but the audio is a little bit bad for me.
We can hear you.
Go ahead, speak.
All right, blessings. So yes, I'm Negus Medin of Holistic Vibrancy. I'm a holistic health and wellness therapist, also a professional African and Caribbean drummer. I'm here supporting the Natural Health and Wellness Show that's happening this Saturday, October 12th at the CEE Centre for young Black professionals. And I'm excited to support community where it represents our health and our wellness. It's been a passion for me for over 20 plus years of supporting Black people in Ontario and specifically in Toronto in terms of our health and our wellness. So I'm looking forward to seeing the community come out this Saturday at the CEE Centre. If you're into holistic health, if you're into just getting your health together, focusing on your health, on your family's health, on your community health. We have people coming out also to support us in terms of our financial health, right? So please come out, support, and build yourself, build your families, and build your community.
Okay. Ryan, do you want to start or you want me to start?
Oh, you can start.
Okay. And Kofi, when you're ready to come back on, tell me in the green room. All right. So first things first. When I mention health and wellness from an African perspective, what do you say?
Well, go ahead. Do you want to go ahead and Negus and answer that? Okay, you make sure. I'll answer the question. So when you say health and wellness from an African perspective, I think it's important to recognize that health is always a cultural expression. So, for example, if we're talking about food and we're healthy food, and we're talking about your diet. So many of us may eat, yams, banana, what we call ground fruit or provisions. And one of the things that's missing is we don't know what is the health information that's associated with it. So what do yams do for you? What do bananas do for you? Right? And as we've seen as well in the health field, we've also experienced a lot of racism. We talk about, the treatment that some of our sisters get when it comes to accessing the health field. And then there's another part I would add to it, is that we do have our own expressions of health. So, for example, there are African versions of yoga. And someone like Taya might be more in tune than myself about that, but we do have our own expressions. So I think that, again, centering our culture around health is a critical piece. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Taya.
Yeah, I do. So for myself, I really want a lot of people to understand that yoga and traditional spirituality all originates from Africa. Everything was remixed from Africa. Things were quite literally stolen and relabeled from Africa. So one of the things that I want Black people to really embrace and understand is that when you're doing these practices, we're connecting with our ancestry. We're doing something that is natural for us, and we're connecting to our body. We're connecting to that God consciousness that exists in the temple of God. So I think there's a lot of misconceptions about yoga and wellness. And when I first started practicing 10 years ago when I was 18, a lot of people in my life were like, girl, what are you doing? Like, this is dark. And no, after a while they realized it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. You have to be careful with who you practice with. A lot of stuff is appropriated and diluted, but it is a practice when you get into it with the right people in the right community.
Excellent.
Oh, that's wonderful. And is this going to be the first summit, health and wellness summit, or okay? And so what sparked you wanting to do a bigger, grander event to bring people in?
Yeah.
One of the things I would say that so myself and Negus were the original brainchild of the piece, but one of the things that we noticed that as people who work in the social work and health field, that we had gone to, a lot of conferences that focus on, what this society would say normalized or traditional health fields, right? So you go to something and they might talk about, your blood pressure or this, that, and so and so. But knowing the balance that many of us in our community use natural health or medicines or things from our culture that we came up with, right? And we hadn't seen too many spaces where, hey, if I want to find out about, natural health practices, where do I go? Right? So often, natural health and wellness is marginalized in the health field, right? And we've seen that, there's a balance, right, between, valuing what we have, you know what I mean, and also looking at, societal things. So the brainchild, it really was, let's get into these spaces. And even to be honest with you, just from let's just say a product or service thing, is that in particular, if I want to get, some herbal teas or so and so, I don't know. And also I want to get like, with a shea butter, healthy products. There are no spaces, I would say, in the east part of the city that you can go all into one place at one time and access these services or products. So it's just an opportunity to do that. And this is the first of many that we'll be doing.
You're picking up on something that was going on in my alleged mind, in the fact that how big of a challenge is it access to these products and services for people? Because yes, you're having this event at the CEE Centre, but after that's finished, do they come to you, each one of you, as offering these services? They say, where can I get a hold of you? Or I don't know about these things.
Right. So one of the goals that Negus and I were speaking about months ago when we connected to do this is that we want to give people eventually free access to classes. So, one of the biggest barriers to accessing wellness services, because it's been so gentrified, is cost, right? So our goal is to be able to connect with different organizations around the GTA that multiple communities can access. And our goal is to give them free services. So, we need organizations that have a budget to bring wellness practitioners in. So part of the reason that we're hosting this wellness fair is we're hoping that we can network with some organizations and, make everything so much more accessible. So that's one of the main goals. And when Negus gave me that idea, I was like, yes, I love that, because it's very sad that somebody can't go to a yoga class because they can't afford it, but they want it,
Okay. Good stuff. Good
Can
stuff.
I ask a question to Taya, if you don't mind?
Sure.
Taya, what is Kundalini yoga?
Yes.
How did you get into that?
Okay, sure.
I can't even pronounce it, so there you go.
Listen, I'm pronouncing it like a Jamaican. I didn't want to have to go off and call it something else.
Right.
We want to mash up a thing, so go ahead.
You were close, yes. So it is Kundalini yoga. So Kundalini is the energy that we all hold in the base of the spine. Some people call it a serpent energy, right? Because it flows through our chakras like this, right? So that sometimes when you hear Kundalini, there's a lot of rhetoric online about it, right? But really and truly, it's God consciousness in the body. It's a healing energy in the body. When we're happy and we're excited and like we're in a healing state, the Kundalini, that natural ecstasy, is that Kundalini rising through you, right? But the thing is, a lot of us, our chakras, which are our energy centers that are related to different organs, emotions, characteristics, and things like that, they're blocked up, right? So the Kundalini cannot freely flow through, right? So with doing Kundalini yoga, it's a very spiritually scientific way to raise the Kundalini through the chakras, the body, yourself. What I love the most about Kundalini yoga is there's tons of different yoga sets and meditations. So some yoga practices, you'll have 26 postures and you do those 26 postures over and over. And that's a way to grow in the practice. With Kundalini yoga, we have different breathing techniques or mantras, yoga sets, for each chakra, different emotions, issues, for stress, for heartbreak, for jealousy, there's so many different things. It's a really vast practice. And so Kundalini yoga, I always love to say it's that girl. It's a very potent yoga practice. I've had a lot of people come to my class who are not big on crying, and they're like, why was I crying? Why was I holding back tears? And it's because it impacts your psyche and your subconscious mind on a very powerful level. And Kundalini yoga is also something you need to be careful with, right? Because it's powerful. You can't just go in and play with it and do whatever you want with it. With each exercise, there's a specific amount of time, right? And even if you want to cut down that time, you have to cut the entire practice in half. You can't remix Kundalini yoga because it impacts you in negative ways. I'll give you an example. There's a beautiful breathing exercise called Breath Fire. And I was watching a video on YouTube of this brother who learned the technique and said, I'm going to do this every day for 2.5 hours between 4:30 a.m. and 6:30 a.m., which is the most powerful time of the day to meditate and do any spiritual practice. There's a lot of prana and energy available because everyone's sleeping. Anyway, he did that for a long time. And then he started seeing shapes. You know, he started having these crazy spiritual experiences where people can kind of like lose it. He started feeling a lot of heat and fire in his body, right? And he was trying to go to the doctor, nobody could figure it out. And then he went to a monk, and the monk said, okay, well, firstly, you're burning because you're extremely angry. You have anger issues. You have anger that you haven't processed, right? He also told him, do not do breath of fire for 2.5 hours a day. Like that's not safe, right? So with spiritual practices, like people do lose their mind practicing spiritual stuff irresponsibly. So when you go to a Kundalini yoga class, you want to make sure that you're with somebody that's trained and somebody that's following, you know, the yoga sets properly. And if you're gonna do stuff online, you can follow classes online or look up yoga sets online. Pay attention to the practice timing, and if you want to split it in half or split it in 3/4, every single exercise you split it up. Okay, so pretty balanced. That's where I do a lot of my Kundalini. I try not to bring Kundalini into the school. I do more a chill type of yoga because I'm working with youth and I don't want them to then run with something and have issues. But that's a long-winded way of explaining Kundalini yoga.
Well, you gave us the lowdown. I'm going to see if I can bring Negus back because he's in. Can you hear us, brother?
I can hear you, but it's not clear.
Okay, we can hear you.
Okay, good. What's the question on the floor?
Well, the question's on the floor. I'm going to bring it to you. Okay, just give me a second. I want to catch up on some comments here. Just want to say, Noob Chewy says, alleged mind. Yes, I like to say that with my mind every once in a while. And Shirley says, good morning, Shirley. Good to see you. Hayton Morrison says, good morning. All this is a one-day event. Yes, it's a one-day event. And also blessings, everyone. Happy Monday from Serena Wills from the DMV in the US of A. So, Negus, you're one of the main people behind this. How did this idea come about?
Well, actually, this was an idea that I've had for some time because, as I mentioned, one of my passions for years has been what's happening within the Black community as it relates to our health and our wellness. I believe one of the biggest struggles we're having in terms of our development and growth as a people in Canada is based on how healthy we are. I believe that because we're not actually mentally, spiritually, and physically healthy enough is a key factor in why we're not thriving the way that we should. So I've made it a big part of my practice as a therapist to focus on the Black community and our health. And this fair is kind of like a culminating event with Brother Paul and Brother Kofi, because it's been a passion of theirs for years as well in terms of their work, developing community. And so it's a networking event where we now have an opportunity to come together to actually focus on our health, financial, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health, in order to network, build our community in terms of capacity, working together, and supporting one another in terms of business, in terms of finance, in terms of health and wellness, social endeavors, you name it. It's an opportunity for us to galvanize and synergize our efforts and work together collectively for the overall benefit of the community, for specialists in different areas of therapy, in our business building, you name it. So I'm really happy to see how well the community has come together around this and supporting this. I'm looking forward to seeing all of the different faces, people coming in and just talking about what they are doing, and how they want to be supported, and how we can actually support one another in building our health, our wellness, our strength as African Canadians.
Excellent. Thank you for making the time. That's a good share. And I just want to catch up on some comments here. Serena says, I'm so glad she's talking about Kundalini yoga. Very powerful. And Serena has a question. How often does she recommend one practicing Kundalini yoga?
Okay, so there's a few different ways that you can approach it, right? You can practice when you feel like you need to practice. You can tell yourself you want to practice every day. There's also, I'm trying to think of the name of what we call this, but you can do something like a 40-day practice, a 90-day practice, a 120-day practice, and a 1,000-day practice.
Wow.
And each of those, I've not got to 1,000 days. Okay, let me just say that now. But each of those lengths, so I'll say them again: 40 days, 90 days, and 120 days. Each of those impact your psyche on a different way when it comes to trying to break an addiction, a habit, whatever, connect more to your femininity. There's yoga sets for menstrual cycles, for sexual health. There's sets for your liver. I can't. There's just so much. I love it.
Very nice. This is great. And so we're just chatting with Kofi Sadat. Kofi Morse is still not with us. He's in the background. Negus and Taya about the Natural Health and Wellness Fair at the CEE Centre, 75 Thermos Road in here, Scarborough, Ontario, coming up this Saturday. And for more information, there's an email address you need to check it out at. And I've shared that on most of the comment sections on the platforms that you are watching this live or on the replay at. Ryan, any questions from your end?
Yeah, I was curious, Negus. It was great seeing you get to perform. It was great for me to see you perform at the Dr. Umar event that was happening over this past weekend. And I was curious because he didn't talk a lot about the health in the Black community, and usually he goes into it. So I was curious your thoughts on what we as a community are struggling with and what we can do better to really take control of our health, mental health, and physical.
He's got to unmute himself. Negus, you need to unmute yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah, no, there's a lot of things that we as Black community need to be doing on a daily basis in order to be healthy and well. One of the first things that we need to recognize as a community is that we have a unique physiology, right? Being the first peoples on the planet, our DNA is unique. And the way that this DNA interacts with our environment is also unique. It's very important for us to do research and to find out what makes the Black DNA unique, and how does the Black DNA, in responding to the environment, how does the Black DNA thrive and be healthy? So that's the first thing. And then there's things that we have done historically as people of African descent that keep us healthy. We need daily doses of vitamin D, lots of sunshine, because we come from a very rich area in Africa that is high in vitamin D. Our bodies, our skin, our melanin
We may have lost him.
That's good. I mean, I could definitely kind of add to what
Sure.
he's saying, right?
Okay.
Again, like I said before, centering around our history and our reality, around how we respond, even to the foods, the environments, the words. How do we best thrive? Because I think we've been in post-slavery, but we've been in survival mode for a very long time. That getting to that point of thriving, being our best and most healthy self. I'm sure many of us have this experience that soon as you go home, wherever that home may be, it could be the Caribbean, it could be Africa, whatever, your energy just changes. You just start relaxing, right? Your environment impacts how you feel, right? And then when you come home off a vacation or from going home, your energy goes the opposite way, right? It's almost like a depression, right? If you're depressed, right? Or your energy is depressed, right? So that's just an example of how our environment alone can impact ourselves. I've had the pleasure through the work that I've done with Rites of Passage to travel all over the world. I've been to Finland, UK, Africa, across Canada, from BC to Halifax, right? And one of the things, just to tie it into our health, especially with our young people, that I found, and kudos to you, Dr. Vibe, on doing that trip for the young Black men. And I'm sure that you observed this, but taking them out of that regular environment and bringing them into nature, right? Or bringing them to a place that's familiar just does wonders. No words are needed. You can just see the shift in the young people. So a lot of my work's with young people.
I felt the shift.
That's my point, right? So often, we kind of take it for granted, but being in those environments, in natural environments, which is also in line with a lot of us who are, melanated peoples, we come from those environments. I had the benefit of going home to Jamaica this summer, and it was just after Hurricane Beryl. I'm from country, Portland. Shout out to the Maroon family. And very interestingly, I'm from up in the hills. So our power was cut for 2 weeks that I was there. Best time I ever had. Got up in the morning, went to the river, had my natural food, no noise, and trust me, for me on a health level, it just did wonders. So again, it's just to be mindful that when we're in our environments, we're eating our foods, we're doing our exercises that we need to do. It definitely helps. And maybe Brother Kofi, I don't know if you can kind of validate some of these pieces, because I know you do a lot of work around, meditation, Qigong, healthcare. So maybe if you're good, you want to chip in? Are you unmuted?
100%, brother. I echo all the aspects that you guys have highlighted. And another piece, it's interestingly enough, is food, right? Like our food intake, like that the food connects culturally for us, right? The things that we grew up eating, the things that are foundation for us, are one of the things that not only nutritionally, of course, help us, but it's also part of connection for us, right? Family sitting down together and breaking bread and eating together. These are one of the places that that connection is often made. And I think that's one of the things that we've been challenged by. I went to the Dr. Umar event yesterday at the JCA, and I was humble enough to have the opportunity to pour libation, which is a traditional form of prayer. And one of the things that came to me to share was, again, one of the pieces around us coming together as a community. Some of the folks who were in that room I haven't seen since pre-COVID, right? Pre the pandemic, and it's interesting because when you see people and you connect with them in the flesh physically, there's a different piece around connecting on a Zoom, connecting on the phone, or whatever the case may be. And especially we haven't seen each other in all these years, and you're getting these updates, in this short period of time. And in the midst of that, we're breaking bread. People are eating food. This is, again, another part of the social connection and the way in which we nourish ourselves physically, but it also is a spiritual aspect, is a spiritual piece towards, as it relates to us connecting and eating food together. Because you think about it, and one thing I'll quickly add is our connection to the earth, right? Our connection to nature. I think someone mentioned this. Our connection to the land. We are people that we've often been, connected to the land. And when you do something like farming, what happens when you farm a crop? Well, you have so much that what do you want to do? You want to share it. So that would actually often become a way that we would connect traditionally, right? Would be part of that was literally breaking bread, was be able to connect with one another. So now we do that in a different way, but we do that in the kitchen. We do that in kitchens. We do that in different spaces when there's food involved, because it ties into that connection piece for us, right? So that's three of the things that kind of come to mind is connection to nature, our food, and the manner in which we actually connect physically.
I just want to add on to that because you mentioned pandemic. About 4 weeks before the pandemic, I had the opportunity and privilege to share at an Indigenous conference in the Northwest Territories. And two things I will never forget spending 3 days in Yellowknife: their respect for elders and the respect for the land. The term, the land. Very, very much so. I want to ask each one of you a conversation piece. How much is our challenge with our health and wellness hindering our progress as a people?
You got to unmute yourself, brother.
So go ahead. I was going to allow my sister to answer the question first.
Sure, yeah. I would say a big area where I feel we're being hindered is relationships. So a lot of us experience so much trauma growing up. And I think our relationship to family, our relationship to partners, and our relationship to children has all been strained because everybody's really stressed. Everybody is, let me not say everybody, but a lot of people are stressed. They're anxious, they're depressed, they're traumatized. And when you're traumatized, it has a huge impact on your personality and how you show up if you're not processing that, right? The other thing is we need to process on several levels. We need to talk about it, we need to work it out, conceptualize it, we need to cry about it, we need to work it out in our body. So for example, both going to the gym and doing yoga are two beautiful ways to work through anger, but I need both. Right? I need both. It's not just one. So I think one of the things that we really have to focus on is, we need to stop gaslighting ourselves. Like a lot of things that the last few generations, a lot of the way parenting has operated the last few generations, it's just not the healthiest. It's just not the most beautiful way to parent. And that's because we're coming from so much trauma. I think there's a lot that we have to process and work through, especially when it comes to sexual trauma from slavery, right? Like our epigenetics are all still connected to that, and a lot of us are not healing that, and it's on us. The other beautiful thing is that they always say that when you heal yourself, you're healing 7 generations before you and 7 generations after you, right? So that's one piece that I could add.
All right. I'm going to add another piece that, I talk to Brother Kofi on the regular, and I'm just kind of assessing in my particular life, and I would say in Toronto, I'll speak to that reality, is that, our health is definitely being compromised. In particular, we're seeing a lot of our elders who have transitioned or who are living in poor health, and we're missing out on that connection. Big shout out to, a lot of folks, of course, we have to give a shout out to our elder Louis March, and others. And I'm not saying he wasn't living healthy, but I'm saying that I've noticed that impact of some of our elders, that we need to access that knowledge, that wisdom, that experience, and particularly the guidance, right? If our elders and ourselves, we're not taking care of ourselves, then yes, it's impacting the community. But I also would say with a lot of the young people, right? Where if we're not taking care of our mental health and our wellness, our balance, we're doing things that are harming ourselves and our community, right? So health is central to you know, having a nice, peaceful, you know, progressive community, right? So I think all of us, and I'm going to give a shout out because there's so many of us who are on this um, conversation, to us as brothers, you know, as Black men. You know, we really need to do it for ourselves, our families, and our communities, and focus on our health. You know, I was going to make a joke to Miss Taya about my challenge with yoga because I can't touch my toes, but I need to, you know, I know I need to really go there. And I'm just saying it in joke, but as Black men, I think that in particular, we need to do a better job and see the relationship between, you know, a progressive community and our personal and family health. So let's say that.
Well, I'll just chime in here that, and I always tell people this practice. I go to my doctor every 2 months. And it's not because I've got bad health. And actually, I've taken it up much. I go see him every month.
Mm.
And it's not because I'm in bad health, but you never know. So I piggyback on what you're saying there, Kofi, that you know what? Your health is your wealth. And it's not only your own financial, but your spiritual, holistic, and it's also your family's health too. It's impacting. So it's not just all about you, because I think everyone who's on this conversation in the screen, watching it live or on replay, you have someone, at least one other person that's counting on you in even one little way. So I just wanted to add that point. Ryan, I want you to chime in because I know one of your initiatives is about seniors in regards to health and wellness. Do you want to ask in any regards to that to our friends here today?
Well, it's more around like seniors living longer at home, and so health is part of it, but isolation, companionship, because with ACBN, we're now getting into like the senior care area, like buying a franchise that's just like family doing senior care. So a lot of the stuff we talk about in community is about how best can we support our parents in living longer at their home. Because I know my dad ain't going to no long-term facility. He told me point blank, don't even try it. So now how do we, one, have that conversation more? Because it wasn't something that ACBN or myself was even engaged in, is that the conversation around our seniors. Yeah.
Right. And I think it's a really good point then asking our friends here how to have those conversations about health, period.
Yes. Yeah. Because we now want to engage in it, but we don't know the best approach. So I was curious if you had thoughts on how we can have that conversation with our parents. And then a lot of us are in this sandwich generation where we have children and aging parents. So now we almost have to have a full 3-generation conversation. So I was curious how best you feel to approach that.
Kofi, you want to talk about that?
I'll hop in. You know, it's interesting. I was thinking of some of the isms that we face. And I'm going to come back to one of the main ones that came to me, but we actually have a challenge with ageism. I want to tell you what I mean when I say that. There's some conversations we don't have with our elders because we're not used to having them. The health conversation we often don't have with our elders. We don't have them with our fathers, especially. Our fathers don't have them with us. We find out what's happening, like when, I'm glad that Dr. Bide mentioned it. We find out post the medical appointment if they're open to share what happened. Gotcha. Some of the details they might not share once again because they're concerned around how the son or the daughter, whoever is going to respond. So they keep it quiet. So we don't know what's actually happening with them. And that's a way that they kind of try to protect us because they feel like, well, the younger ones, you know, they won't understand. Not understanding that like we're part of the current technology and things that are happening. So I like to connect elders to things like naturopaths, you know, pursuing things like acupuncture, you know, different aspects of holistic health and having their first experience. The joke is they're having some of those experiences in their 60s now. They've never been to some of the alternative, what we actually should be calling primary care, but what the industry calls alternative medicine. They're now being exposed to that in their 60s. When some of our generation and those younger than us, they're going to these, we're bringing them to those appointments now, the 18-year-olds and the 17-year-olds, and being connected to those things early, right? So I think ageism plays a role in terms of that and not acknowledging that our elders, they need us, we need them, and we need to open those fields of conversation. I think workaholism is something we don't talk about in our community enough.
Gotcha.
I think we practice workaholism, and you almost look down on somebody else, or like you might not tell your elders, certain things in terms of your access to freedom in this generation, because you're supposed to be working a certain amount of hours. What do you mean? Yeah, you mean Friday and take off work and just easy and relax yourself?
Half
No,
day.
man, you have to work. What do you mean, man, for work, man. So like you can get into those conversations where you have to almost defend your self-care. You have to defend the ability to relax. We haven't normalized vacations. Ask most people that are going on vacation where they're going. They're usually going to the land of their birth. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, but it's often not a vacation, because a part of that is the visiting all the family members and the dropping off of the bags. And there's a joke. I do some work at the airport, and there's a joke that the Caribbean flights, the bags are usually overweight.
Mm-hmm.
Why are the bags overweight? Because they're bringing a whole heap of thing for people. You can't just go on vacation to the Caribbean. You have to pack up your bag. You know what I mean? We're laughing, but I'm telling you, it's become a
true.
Right?
It's so true.
So is it really a vacation? So like we don't do the Floridas or the Turks and the Caicos and the Hawaii and all that kind of stuff. Like we look at that stuff as other people's stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like workaholism. We need to break some of those
isms.
Those are intergenerational, like realities and cultures that we've taken on that we need to break from, and we need to create some new things. So I will say I do see a lot of younger people now taking the trips to the Punta Canas and the Cabos and all of that kind of stuff. I'm seeing groups of young brothers now also, right, taking those trips, going with their friends. So now there is a way to shift some of those things. And I think for some of our retirees, they can learn even from some of the young people to say, you know what, take a trip with some of your brethren, right? Some of the older guys, go and take a man trip or something and go somewhere where you actually relax. Go on the beach, enjoy yourself. I feel like we need to shift that narrative.
Before anyone else jumps in, I'm just going to catch up on some comments. Dr. Chachi says, hello to Serena Wills. Hey there, Sor. Serena Wills says, hey, Sor Tachi. Noob Cherry says, it's harder to live healthy. We need to be exchanging new strategies for where we live now. I need a Toronto equivalent of a morning sea bath followed by roast breadfruit for breakfast. Count me in. Okay. Serena Wills says, gotta head off. I'll have to watch the replay for the rest. This conversation is so imperative in the communities globally. Thank you for today. Dr. Chachi says, yes, very true. It becomes a mission trip instead of a vacation.
Jeez.
Henji says, yes, we need to enjoy. Anyone else want to chime in on that? That pick up on that conversation piece? How much is our health and wellness impacting us as a people, community-wise, etc.? Anyone else want to add?
So I just wanted to add something in terms of the elders and also alternative care. So one of the things I've been doing is I would go to through colleges, chiropractic students and naturopathic students. They'll offer free services or services for like $20. So I was able to see a naturopath for free, and I'm able to see chiropractors for like $20. So I know some of those can be really, really pricey. So just look up different colleges in your area that have those programs and try to find some free services, even if it's in the budget. That money can go somewhere else, And then the other thing is I want to encourage people to do chair yoga or find chair yoga classes for their elders. I've done some classes this year with some elders, and they loved it. And I played a nice reggae instrumental. So that just made them feel at home and really relaxed. And all of them said, oh, I feel a lot more fit. So there's a lot you can do in chair yoga. Even myself, I'd be out of breath teaching that sometimes. I'd be like, wow, the holding posture is a lot, So please, please, please look up some yoga chair postures, especially like neck rolls and things like that to do with your elders.
Ryan, you want to chime in? I've got some. The Kofi Sadat. Let me just do this. Go ahead. Oh, hold on. You got to unmute yourself, brother, my man Sadat. Unmute yourself.
Sorry,
There we
I
go.
tried to unmute myself, but as you mentioned about reggae, me, I'm all about the free up, right? And I think when it comes to health, the free up piece, similar we were talking about vacation. So freeing up means that, being comfortable in our skin, dancing, embracing that, you know what I mean? And showing that, me and my partner, we also often talk about when we grew up and we went to parties, it was a family party. So you had your uncle, you had your auntie, your parents, maybe the kids are in the basement, but we all were partying together. And I would encourage that we do more of that. So even part of Saturday, the event coming up from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., we're going to have edutainment. So we're going to have some young people rapping. We're going to have some African dance and drum. We're going to play 2 tunes. We're going to play some games.
You're going to drop foot?
Listen, my foot is already dropped. My foot is already dropped. I'm already dancing from now into Saturday. You know how it goes, right? So the free up is important, right? Because definitely part of the colonial mind is that we've been taught that there's something that is wrong with us being free. Again, coming back to what Kofi was saying around giving us that permission to actually enjoy ourselves and go out on vacation or do whatever. We haven't done that, right? So yes, come out, even if it's more than about the information, it's about the connection, it's about the freeing up, and that aspect as well. So we want people to know that, it's going to be fun, not just informational.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on that. And I love this term. It says there's something wrong with being free. Some of us had that mentality. I think that's really very, very powerful statement. What are some of the things, and you shared some of them, but what's some of the things people will experience going to this event? You mentioned some things. Are any other things you want to mention?
For sure. So I know a lot of our Caribbean and our African folks know about sorrel. Some people call it zobo. But do you know what the health impacts are from drinking sorrel? So we're going to have somebody who's going to come talk about what we call the bush, right? So a lot of the bushes that we use, like the sorrel and things that are, we do it all the time, but we don't know, hey, what are the health benefits of it? So you come out, you're going to be able to experience stuff like that. Like I said, we're going to have some yoga, so make sure that you dress well. We're going to have drum circles. Negus will be leading some of the drum circles. We're going to have some intergenerational kind of games as well. We're going to have massage for folks who who need that massage and stuff like that. So we're going to have a whole bunch of different modalities to engage everybody, right? So please come out. And I just want to say again, Ryan, I think we need to do a special event just focused on elders or seniors, right? To do a special thing that focuses on, okay, well, I have my senior parents or an elder in my community. How can I bring, these health modalities to them? So thank you for that idea, and we'll definitely collaborate on that piece.
And it's great timing because we just started doing surveys of our network to ask, do you have child dependent and adult dependent, or adult dependent? Sometimes both. So we're starting to get some data on who is taking care of their parents, whether they're in the home or out, and they're checking in on them. So I think it's great timing to do that.
Yeah, and one of the things I find, and from folks that I know that are taking care of their parents, there's not enough places to go to engage the you know what I mean? So we're often left in that model. They have to stay home, which we know is not healthy for a lot of them, all the time. They got to get out. There's not enough programs. So if we can create something that, hey, I'll come out and dance to 2 reggae tunes or 2 soca, or or do things that are familiar, right? And maybe it's not a permanent care, but it's an opportunity for them just to get out, even to free up their mind and be in a different environment.
To get a break, just a guilt-free break. I feel like we guilt ourselves too much.
Well, it's interesting. And you were talking about elders. We know those in the Asian community. And I'm sure people have had this experience where you've been traveling around and you see, especially in the warming months, how they do their outside.
Right.
Group of them exercise. I know they do their Tai Chi. And I find that, and they make time for it. And it's not only good exercise, but internal and external exercise. You see them do it, and they do it in groups. They do it in groups. So they've already given us a blueprint. We just need to massage it to our cultural experience.
100%. That's a great segue, Dr. Bar, because they will be Qigong. Very similar to Tai Chi. I'll be facilitating on the day of. So some of those slow movement, energy cultivation activities, will be doing that. And again, from young to old, can learn some of these things. It's funny. I thought of something, which is what we call, my parents are from Trinidad, and we have something called a rhythm section. So when you go to a dance, a part of the dance often would be people taking an object and just beating and playing the object, right? And you see the older people that are just in the dance making rhythms with a glass and a spoon, right? Now, it sounds funny that it's just something that you do. But when you're doing that for a good 2-3 hours in a dance, this is an exercise. You're doing something that's keeping you active, that's keeping you moving, and you don't have to have all kind of dance moves to be able to make a sound, right? So it becomes something that gets people up and moving and going, and it becomes part of the vibe of the party. And it's something that we've kind of passed on that needs to continue. So finding alternative ways to connect and to engage and to cultivate movement is so important.
Excellent. And Hayden asked, what time does the event start and finish?
It's 5 p.m. Eastern time to 9 p.m. So it's a good 4-hour chunk. I know, again, we said it's Thanksgiving weekend, but we're calling it Giving Thanks weekend.
Love that.
So, it's before, some of us have that big meal on the Sunday or the Monday, we can focus on our health, and the things that will help us to kind of move forward with that.
Yeah.
So 5 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Before Ryan has his Thanksgiving oxtail, right?
See, I'll do my Gi Chung so that I chakra moving, Kundalini afterwards.
All that.
Decompress and detox. Whatever it takes to keep the oxtail flowing. All exercises prescribed.
There you go. You can put that oxtail gravy in the IV. You know what I mean?
I'll put that in my power of attorney,
That is so wrong. That is so wrong.
Hospital care.
This is just the aspect. That's what the aspect.
Yeah, Kofi, talk, because you need to break that conversation up.
Some of the sound bites from this interview are going to be very funny. That one right there is epic.
If In Living Color was still around, I could see them doing a skit where some man's in the bed at Ivy with
Ivy oxtail drip. So interestingly enough.
Go ahead.
Go ahead and talk about it.
I say, Paul, maybe your partner can use that for a comedy skit.
I was going to mention that about the relationship between health and humor, right? Health and humor. So we're going to have the comedy piece, not this weekend, but we will definitely have the comedy piece around health and humor, right? So, yeah.
Go ahead, brother Kofi.
No, I was going to say, on a somber note relative to that, Dr. Louis Farrakhan and different members of the Nation of Islam in the States, they often would bring forth a conversation around food that came out of slavery, and the fact that a lot of the foods that we eat today were the scraps that were given by the master to those of the enslaved, and this has now become delicacies, quote unquote, in the community. There was a time that things like oxtail and pigtail and stuff like that were the scraps that were given out, that they weren't even really charging anything for at groceries throughout parts of Ontario, of Canada, etc. But then when they started to see how many Caribbean people were asking for the oxtails and the pigtails and all of these things, they raised the price. So now if you go to a restaurant and you order oxtail, it's one of the most important, most expensive things on the menu. Why? Nobody asked that question, right? It's the scraps of an animal. Why would that be the thing? Well, it's because it emerged from a time that in our history that we required a certain type of we had only access to a certain type of food. So what did we do? We are creative. We found ways to spice up those scraps. And now they're delicacies that people from all cultures go to Caribbean restaurants and order things like oxtail. Some people won't have soup without pigtail in it. Right? So these are some of the cultural things that we've taken on, but we have issues with hypertension in our community. We have issues with diabetes in our community. These are some of the foods. And I'll tell you this, when you cook your food at home versus when you buy it in a restaurant are two different things. The level of sugar and salt, sodium and salt that they're putting in the food at the restaurant is to get you to come back. So they're increasing the levels of sodium and sugar and stuff of the food in the restaurants. So think about these days of this Uber Eat generation where people don't cook their food as much. If you eat that oxtail, if you eat that curry chicken, that whatever, 5 days a week from a restaurant, the levels of your sodium and your sugar are much higher than they would be if you were making it at home. So we need to get back to the piece around home cooked meals and acknowledging the importance of, even if, let's say, you don't really cook, maybe you need to connect with somebody else, an auntie or uncle, somebody like that you can go check. And again, it becomes part of the social connection. Maybe you come bring some grocery to them and say, hey, you know what, 1-2 days, can you make me a little thing? And, you know, and it becomes a connection, but it also becomes a healthier way of eating, because younger people now are getting diabetes. Younger people now are suffering from things like hypertension. Younger people are having heart failures and heart issues. Because of how our health is presently. We're not taking the time to know what is the food intake.
What I learned from that segment, thank you, Kofi, is that if anyone out there is watching and is cooking oxtail this weekend, I'm willing to come by and enjoy with your family. Just put it in the comments if you're cooking. You know, parents got it going on Sunday. I'm willing to come by.
There you go.
No.
So you want to emancipate their oxtails? Is that what you're trying to say? You are liberated. You are liberated.
All right. Well, I know everyone's got to run. So what I'd like to do is just a last, I would like to get a comment from each of you of a word of wisdom to our people, or one thing, our suggestion, one thing our people can do to improve their health and wellness. So I'll start with lady first, and go ahead, Taya.
Okay. So yes, thank you. I would say, the opposite of trauma is play. So remember that having fun and enjoying, as Brother Paul was talking, just freeing up, is so healing. So don't feel guilty when you're prioritizing fun. And if you're not prioritizing fun, do it.
Taya, that's a great knowledge bomb there. And I would actually like to have you come back on the show to talk about yoga, like a full conversation about yoga. But one of the things I like to freak out with some people, I ask adults, when was the last time you played? And they look at me, what are you talking about? So you may want to ask people today, when was the last time you played? I'd love to know the body reaction when you ask them that question. Negus, one thing we want to leave people with. Negus, sorry. Can you hear us? Okay, we can't hear you.
Can't hear me.
Oh,
sorry.
Now we can. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I would say wake up every morning with a positive attitude about your life. Wake up every day thinking that your life.
Oh, and it was getting so good. It was getting so good. Okay, Kofi Morris, you take it. Unmute yourself. There we go.
Deliberate connections, like unpressing the mute. Deliberate connections with family, with friends, the people that are important to you. Finding and creating space, coming out of this kind of I don't have time scenario. There was a time that we never used to say that. There was a time that I don't have time wasn't the thing that we said. And I don't know if we're that much more busy now. Because some people, if you really ask them what are they doing, if you just show up at their house and say, what are you not doing? They're not really doing nothing, you know. It's not really that they're really, really busy, you know. They're just telling you they're busy because you can say that these days. So deliberate connections, cook your food, right? Fire up the pot. Find 1, 2, 3 recipe that you can cook. Ask a friend, an auntie, a grandmother. Cook your food. And come off of just these Zoom situations always. Let's find ways to connect physically more so that the days of Zoom and virtual become the thing that we do less, so that we can actually connect, feel, hug, touch, going back to Dr. Vibe, kiss, all them kind of thing. Relationships, Sister Taya said, right? Man, woman, you need to come together and cultivate healthy relationships, so we can create a healthy community and healthy future for our children, for the young people.
Well said. Absolutely. 100%. Sadat, because Negus is going in and out of Sadat, I'll give you the last word.
Connect with your elders, especially around health and wisdom. So how did we, focus on our health? Again, it could be bush tea. It could be how do we cook our food? It could be, sharing stories. It could be humor, but connect with your elders, because elder wisdom is important, right? So it's definitely a focus on our health there. So again, connecting with your elders.
Wonderful. Noob Cherry says, off to work, looking forward to a great event this weekend. Fantastic. If you want to find out more about the event, probably the best way to do it is go this email address. It's in the comment section on most of the platforms they're watching this live on the replay. Family, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us this morning. And if Ryan comes looking for oxtail, can you kick him out?
Hey, Kofi just said it's better for my health for me to go to people's house and eat oxtail with them. So you're actually helping me live longer.
All right, there you go. So there is the flyer for the event.
Yes. Thank you so much for having us. It was an absolute pleasure.
Oh, the pleasure is ours. Anytime. Like we're here. I measure a person by their health, their wealth, and their relationships. Those are the three areas that I look at people. So, and a lot of times their health is the one that they're spending they're investing the least amount of time in. And I'm glad that there's an initiative, not only by yourselves, but others, to improve health, internal and external. And I challenge everybody here that's watching this live on the replay. Do you take a 15-minute break each day? A 15-minute break, whether it's a power nap, like for me, especially with the weather it is right now, I go out at least 15 minutes each day, sit outside and do nothing. No phone, no nothing, just enjoy. Block out. Sometimes, as I say, sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. So I will let our family go on that note. Hopefully we'll see you and be in touch. Take care. Be well, everybody.
All right. Thank you much again.
My pleasure. Take care. Greetings and peace. Mr. Ryan.
Ew.
So what's up for the rest of the week?
Rest of the week, what's happening? Finalizing the planning for the Black Entrepreneurship Ecosystem Conference. So that is happening at the end of the month. So October 28th, 29th, and 30th.
Actually, that Monday, I'm going to probably, I don't know if it's going to be from the event place or from the hotel room. I'll be doing a morning vibe from there. If the Wi-Fi is good at the event itself, I'll do it. If not, nice. I'm gonna do it from my hotel room. But we're gonna do something.
Hey, Carleton better, it's at Carleton University, so they better step up and should have strong enough Wi-Fi.
You go.
No, other than that, just admin work, going to a couple lunches, going to see some friends. Shout out to Trevor Short that runs Songbird Marketing. Or I think he might have changed the name. I'll have to check with him, but we're going to just go grab lunch and catch up. It's been years, I think, before the pandemic, as Kofi was saying, like getting to see some people. So during this week, getting to catch up.
Quick thing, how was Dr. Umar?
I thought the messaging was solid, definitely left with some good nuggets for people to take back. One thing that I would say is I don't think we don't talk about the things that we're actually doing. So people will come to Canada, Dr. Umar, EYL, Earn Your Leisure, and then they talk as if nothing is being done at all in Canada. So I was like, I had to tell them, like, listen, we do have the Black entrepreneurship ecosystem. There was the Canadian Black Empowerment Manifesto that, you know, we are working on strategies to support the Black community. There's parents of Black children that do the advocacy work for our young students. So things that he's been talking about, I feel are in motion. He also mentioned like having a Black bank. We have the Pan-African Credit Union in process. So there's things that are in motion that he speaks to that I'm hoping he can take away, that things are happening in Canada. And I know he was talking about the school, and I was asking him, I was like, hey, how are you going to introduce or put entrepreneurship in the curriculum? So he was receptive to that. And then he wants to have that school like duplicated in other regions. So I was curious to see it launch and then how it's gonna like spread out. But I thought it was overall good. The feedback I felt from the crowd was really good. They enjoyed the conversation with him. And I went Friday and the Saturday.
Was it well attended?
Yes, the Friday event was packed house. There was at First Fridays, so the Real Jerk downtown, standing room only. Like, yeah, that was packed upstairs and downstairs. And then in Durham, that was full as well. Sold out, I think over 100 people in that event center. So shout out to Jamal from M-Pro Graphics that took the lead in putting together the Saturday event in Durham. And the JCA one I did miss, but I did see pictures. It looked like a full house as well. So
this is my concern. Mm-hmm. Great show. What's happening now?
That's where I'm telling people to engage with the projects that are already in motion.
Nothing wrong with the Dr. Umar's, and I've heard him enough times. And in the past, I say, "Oh, I miss not seeing." I see him enough online, but my concern is Dr. Umar is gone. We are here.
Absolutely.
Right. So, is this going to be another symbolic gesture that there's no action done post the next day? Yeah, I took my picture of Dr. Umar. Okay, well, what are you doing today?
Right, exactly.
That's my concern. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. And to me, nothing against me missing out. I'm glad I did what I did with these group of men with some young Black men.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's more important for me to do that with them than hanging out with Dr. Umar or even watching him. Plus, this gentleman who's an educator at the University of Windsor, he was amazing. Like I can't wait to get him on. I can't wait because people need to see this man. He is like I saw Black top-notch person who is like yardy as they get, right from Jamaica all the way up here, all the stuff.
Yes,
he inspired me. He stretched me, and that's a good thing. All right, that's it for let's say. Want to get a hold of Ryan? There's the deets. Want to get a hold of me? There are the deets. As always, let's do this. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also, if you want to follow me anywhere else, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, the Dr. Vibe Show. To advertise your business, product, or service, please email me dr.vibe at the vibe.show.com. Join the Oh, go ahead.
One quick thing. I will tell people the best place to contact with me is LinkedIn. So search Ryan Oneil Knight on LinkedIn is the best place.
I will make sure I add that if I don't. Yes, LinkedIn is a part of it. Okay. Also, Dr. Vibe at the vibe.show.com. You can catch replays of this epic conversation on the Dr. Vibe Show, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, Afro Caribbean Business Network, Facebook, and Ryan Oneil Knight, YouTube. And as always, this is how we finish up. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And remember, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. And remember to give yourselves grace. We will see you on Friday, and stay blessed. Take care.